Also, what? Me or Erica, I'm going to go ahead and mute you guys. Feel free to ask questions in the chat, and we will answer them while we're doing this as well. Keep in mind, this is a coaching session for Erica, though, so any sort of questions are going to be related to the process, the systems, anything like that. We're not answering personal questions about your own businesses. So we're going to go ahead and get started. How you feeling, Erica?
Good and confused. I don't really know where to start, especially with messaging and stuff. So, I mean, I honestly already have all my pamphlets on. So I have my business name, I have all that stuff. I've got the contact info, and I was supposed to have a call with Mo on Saturday to set up questions about payments and things like that, but I'm not I don't have the business side of things set up quite yet enough to start paying for anything. So I have Venmo, I have PayPal business from a previous business I did. I just have to change a bunch of the contact info and whatnot. And then obviously cash or check or whatever. But so we're gonna, once we do this call this week, then I'll set up something with Mo to go over more in detail once I have things more solidified. So
yeah, absolutely. So this week, we'll be doing this every single morning, right, for the whole week pretty much, or as many as we need. Ultimately, on average, it's about 4 to 5 sessions depending on the client and how much really hand-holding they need. But it could even be less. So we'll just cancel the rest of the calls once you're basically done, right? But the goal here is that by the end of this week, you will 100% have your entire business basically set up, as well as, kind of a good idea on, what types of next steps you need to do. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that. Definitely reach out to Mo after this week, and then that way you have a much more solid idea of what you're going to do. So this is the program that we do with all of our clients. It's, as you can see, quite a lengthy document of just all the different things we're going to do together. So we'll start off at the top. Usually, if it's a business or a mom that doesn't really know what she's going to do, then there we go. Then I'll have her do a few different exercises before the actual call starts, so we have a good idea of what she's going to do when she joins. So for those that are watching, one of my favorites is what I call the resume exercise. Basically create a resume of everything that you've ever done, all your certifications, things that you're passionate about, things that you're really skilled in, things that you're really knowledgeable about. And in today's day and age, honestly, you don't have to have all this big fancy certifications and decades of experience in something to make a living in it. So I always say do that resume and just get a whole bunch of everything together in one document and see where a lot of the overlap is. Because I think a lot of times there's stuff really highly profitable businesses hiding in plain sight with our knowledge and our experience and our expertise that we're just not aware of. And a good example of that is I was working with a client, and she did henna work, and she was like, I like what I'm doing, but I'm not making that much for what I'm doing, and I'd like to be able to make more. And when we did the resume exercise with her, we unlocked, she had all these certifications, all this experience, degrees, all these things in helping people heal trauma within their body. And so we kind of were able to create more of a healing type of business around what she's doing and offer henna as kind of her low ticket offer for what she's doing, right? So it's a really great exercise just to kind of get an idea. Now, I know you have been doing Arbonne, and you kind of did this almost for yourself. You looked at all the different things you're doing, and you're like, how can I build something that's a little bit more profitable for my time, right? And now we're looking at doing a postpartum doula type of thing, which I'm super psyched for because I think it's going to help so much for you to hit your goals. So the expectations with these calls is typically, if we can put our phones on do not disturb, awesome. I also understand we're all moms, so if you have to hop off and help a child or something for a few minutes, totally cool, just let me know. We're going to work together on a lot of stuff. Some of it is going to be homework that I'm going to tell you to do, and then we're going to check at the next session, okay? And then I'm going to teach you a bunch of different strategies to implement. And we do as many calls as is needed to complete the program. The calls are 2 hours per call max. That being said, sometimes people's brains get fried a little bit before 2 hours. You know, we've hopped off of calls an hour and a half into them because it was just brains were fried. That's totally fine too. So at any point, if before the 2 hours you feel like I really can't absorb any more information, there's no point in wasting everybody's time on a call that nobody's absorbing any information. So just let me know and we'll hop off the call. All of our meetings are in Google Meet on the scheduled coaching calls. And for everybody that's watching, those are also in the calendar as well. And they will be available in there. I did add the links today, so going forward, they should all be linked up with the link. It is also the same link as the coffee chat. I figured I'd make it super easy. So today is Monday. Right after this is the coffee chat. So if you want to just stick around on the call afterwards, just do that and we'll hang out for the coffee chat. And we're going to get clear on schedules and time blocks as well, so we can figure out exactly when and how you're going to dedicate time to this. And like we had said, after each part, you're going to have homework to complete before the next session. So you just got to make sure that you do that so that we can keep things running smoothly. All right, cool. So let's get started. What are your goals during our sessions together? I like to always have a monetary income goal and then some sort of like a more existential, soulful goal, right?
So I guess one goal, so I have a lot of things I offer through the postpartum doula category. I am also an occupational therapist, and I am taking a bunch of continuing education related around postpartum, so that if somebody needs certain things that I can do from an OT perspective, they can go through the company that I'm associated with and have insurance pay for their appointments, right? They just pay a copay. However, there are things on my list that are probably not covered by insurance, or I can make packages of different things. So just trying to figure out monetary value on that. And how to like how to sort of present those to people, I guess. So for instance, I'm on Nurse Sophia. I don't know if you know her.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm on her webpage as one of the perinatal providers, recommended perinatal providers.
Yep.
And she was telling me, she's like, you know, most people who I put on my website give some kind of offering for members. All right. So my offering for members is a free 30-minute consult call to see what you're looking for and how I might be able to help you and what like best options, right? So that's one of my offerings. I also have a free goodie bag of my favorite like postpartum things for anyone who signs up with me to be their provider. And there was something else. What else did I put? Free call, postpartum goodie bag, and there was something else I forget. It's on her website, but and so, you know, just a reference list for my affiliates. So I'm an affiliate for a lot of different things, like an Amazon affiliate, you know, whatever. So, you know, being able to give that to somebody if they're looking, just, hey, I don't really need your services for a lengthy amount of time, but do you have any recommendations on, you know, postpartum or period underwear or this or that, you know? So just so that even if I give out my reference list of affiliates, if someone purchases, I still make a little bit, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
So honestly trying to like make money at every intersection of of touch points, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So okay, so that's the first part, like figuring out what to do, how to like bundle up packages and whatnot.
Yep.
And it can be, you know, a la carte. It can be like, here's the specific offering of this, and this. You know, if you only want prenatal yoga, that's fine. If you want prenatal yoga and nutrition education, then that's a bundle. Like, do I
Yeah.
do bundles or just do a la carte? And then sort of like what Lucy was doing, I think. I was looking at her stuff. And then the second thing is like, so I want to build a school community at some point. So we'll talk about that at some point. I've been browsing through some of the other like doula and postpartum stuff, but you can't really see it unless you join their group, which I don't really want to do because I have too many groups now anyways, but
Yeah.
just sort of like how they're offering. But I want to figure out how the best way to offer virtual services. Like, I can put that in my school platform, like, hey, I offer virtual services. So if you're here from wherever, like my doula certifications cover me internationally. So that's great.
Yeah.
OT, I think, I mean, I'm in New Hampshire, so I can see anybody virtually for OT as long as they have insurance. So it's just figuring out the virtual services option. So like school and virtual services. And then just, I guess, how to like start marketing that, marketing those ideas. But I have this like genuine fear, and it's silly because like someone has to be pregnant or have a baby for me to be, have a client. But like, what if this blows up and I can't handle it all? So like trying to start small, because just I can't, I have to drive my kid to school starting in a couple weeks. I can't be driving like to Barrington. I have to like keep a small radius of like where I can do one-on-one in-person sessions.
Yeah.
So just, I don't know, trying to like manage like the time management piece of all those things.
Yeah.
As well.
Absolutely. These are common issues, right? Because like these are unique struggles that us as moms have when we have to bring our kids to the school and say, okay, like I have these time blocks and I don't have a whole lot of flexibility around this, So totally understandable. Now, when we look at all of this, what's your income goals for your business? How much would you like it to make per month?
I have no idea. I don't like, again, like, because it's, of such a niche client group, like, I don't know how to even begin to predict that,
So we're not talking about predicting, because we can make it happen no matter what the goal is, right? What we're looking for is, what's your ideal?
I mean, I'd say 5,000, but how many clients and how much time would I need to do for $5,000, right?
Well, we're going to reverse engineer that.
I know, that's where math gets in my head and I get overwhelmed.
Yeah, no, totally. So yeah, I mean, the reason we ask for that goal though is so that we can reverse and engineer a life where you're making the amount of money you want to make, right? With the time constraints that you have. And so the best way to do that is something like a high ticket offer, right? Which is going to be a lot of your postpartum programs. Like, see, Jen is sitting here saying like you could have one client paying that. Now,
really?
I do agree, like postpartum doula, at least from the stuff I've seen, is probably not 5K, but I've like most of them are around $1,000. So even if you just had 5 clients a month, right?
Yeah.
Or you added on extra stuff, right? Like that's kind of where looking at all these different bundles. If you did postpartum services, but it was like for a year, right? Where like you're signing up to have me come out once a month for the next year or something, then yeah, like I think 5K is very justifiable, right?
Yeah.
So like it just depends on the types of packages we're going to do, but without knowing kind of like the price anchor that you want to work towards, it's hard to figure out the best way to do that, right?
Gotcha.
So that's why we kind of reverse engineer this stuff. So potential business opportunities, like we've already, again, this is more for someone who's like kind of just brainstorming, but when you know that you're going to do postpartum doula, and you have some OT experience as well, but that's through another company.
Yeah.
So because it's through another company, it's not going to be something you're going to market or present because...
Yes, I can, because I'm actually self-employed. I'm just subcontracted with them.
Oh, okay. That's different. So yes, we can then.
So when I see somebody as a home visit, I get a pretty high contract rate.
Okay.
So that's where I'm like, um, do you want to see my pamphlet
Yes, let's do
at
it.
some point?
Yes.
Um,
Let's just get
Tell
through
me
all
when.
this stuff first, and then like
Okay.
just let's just finish this one, and then we can look at that pamphlet. So okay, but you have OT experience. So postpartum, you can do virtual or in person.
Hmm.
I know you have lactation, right? Are you an
Yep.
LB? What is it? LBC?
No, I'm a certified breastfeeding counselor,
Okay.
CBC. Um, but I'm also getting um, like continuing ed for doing lactation support as an OT.
Okay.
So it's
So
not
this is just a dumb question because I'm not in that world.
yeah.
What's the difference between that and then just doing the certified breastfeeding counselor?
So lactation and IBL, like, anyways, the IBLC, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, they have more training,
Okay.
more like anatomy type stuff. Like breastfeeding counselors, like, oh, you need to learn how to latch better. Here you go.
Mm.
Like it's very basics of breastfeeding, and it's like
Okay.
counseling moms. So like, if it becomes to a point where like there's something as a breastfeeding counselor, I can't do, I would refer to it a lactation consultant.
Gotcha. Okay.
So because I'm
But you're
already
doing the education right now for the lactation consultant?
yes
Okay.
under the OT umbrella, so it actually
Okay.
helps me a lot because my reimbursement rate for seeing OT clients is
Mhm.
going to be higher than what I would probably charge as a postpartum doula because people kind of balk at that.
Mhm.
um, like I was, I think the going rate for like postpartum doula services is like anywhere from $30 to $45 an hour, or
Mhm.
people create bundles. I've been looking around doing like the market research, if you will, of like different places around here. And it just kind of depends on like who you're checking out, who you
Yeah.
decide on.
Yeah.
So, um, but OT reimbursement for someone who's coming with insurance would be higher than that. So,
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So you can do breastfeeding help, lactation consultant stuff you're working towards. You can do the OT work. You can do postpartum doula, which is just virtual and in person.
yeah.
What other stuff are you adding into that?
Perinatal nutrition education and prenatal yoga.
Cool. I love it. And then for the postpartum doula,
Yep.
for that specific work, what are you including? What do you think you have including in that?
Um, like baby care stuff,
Mhm.
um, infant care, um, you know, um, like any kind of housekeeping, meal prep. Um, Also, um, one of the things that we talked about in our coursework was like also supporting like um, like siblings.
Mhm.
So like when you had Clark, I could have come in, watched the three girls for you while you took care of him. So like
Yeah.
supporting in that way. So sometimes it's the baby, sometimes it's a sibling of the baby that you're
Yeah.
helping mom with. Um, Also self-care. So I have a
Mhm.
lot of little things under my belt.
Mhm.
um, my little side gigs of self-care. So, um, you know, things like that, like offering mom that while like baby sleeps, like so she doesn't have to go out and get a manicure. I can do it for her, or like things like that, like
Gotcha.
self-care stuff, manicures, facials, things like that. Um,
Okay, cool.
and
I love
then
it. So I will say right off the bat, I mean, you can charge premium prices because you have a lot more under your belt than most postpartum doulas, right?
yeah, and
So
I was
like when you
thinking,
think about it, like most postpartum doulas are kind of doing this, right? And not
yeah,
even really like they'd have some self-care typically, but not like manicures, facials, or anything like more extravagant.
yeah,
Um, And so I think like you definitely have quite a bit here. You can create, I would see you could definitely make a package for 1500.
Oh,
If
really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Because and
wow.
there's also like the prenatal yoga. So you
Yep.
could also have prenatal care,
Yep.
right? So Jen's sitting here saying she paid 2K for hers and she didn't do half of those things.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm kind of with Jen on this one. You could
Huh.
definitely charge. Yeah, I was thinking like 1500
Yeah.
to 2K for something like this. Um,
Now,
and again,
now,
like this
Jen,
is a lot of stuff. So you would create it in different size bundles, right?
yeah. Yeah.
But you could absolutely have an all-encompassing bundle. And you could even do something, I would even go as far as like, I think you should have a 5K offer, which would do prenatal and uh, postpartum.
So like, so follow somebody from like, you know, so Jen, how many visits did you have with this, was it postpartum doula?
Her package had a little bit before birth,
Okay.
but I was 3 hours away from her because she's the only one that's like available anywhere close. So I had one online visit, one in person at her house, I think,
Hmm.
if I'm remembering off the top of my head. Then she came to where I was staying. And then she supported me during birth. And then I was supposed to have, I think, 3 lactation sessions. But because, again, I lived 3 hours away, she came to the hospital after birth, had one session with me. And then the 2 other sessions, they just didn't happen because I lived too far away.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
So
yeah, I mean,
And that's pretty standard care. I was gonna say, because we had a doula
really?
with when I was pregnant with Clark, and we had maybe 2 or 3 sessions like before he was born. And most of that was just because like I had other kids. So she would come to the house to like play with them and just get used to them so that they were comfortable with her when the time came for her to support me. That was also a birth doula though.
Right. Yeah, I'm
Um,
not a birth
so
doula.
it was different than postpartum, but that's where I'm also saying like, she was 2500 was how much we paid. And she came
Yeah.
maybe 2 or 3 times before the birth. She was there for the actual birth. And then she
Hmm.
came for like 2 or 3 times after. Right.
Yeah.
Um, but like you could have literally everything except the actual birth.
Yeah. So I was
Right.
just thinking now, like I could weave in prenatal yoga and perinatal
Mhm.
nutrition education. So like that's nutrition during pregnancy and then after pregnancy and then postpartum doula services. So like, can we do that? We just,
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what I'm thinking, right? Say you meet with someone, maybe do like a 3K program. I think that's totally
yeah,
reasonable. And you do a 3K program, which is like, hey, like I'm going to be your doula throughout your entire pregnancy and after.
right.
And we will show up like once a month. We're going to come in and do a session with you, and we'll have like a 30-minute prenatal yoga exercise. I'll answer all your questions or help you at whatever stage of the pregnancy you're in. Right?
Yeah,
For some, that may just be like, I need help figuring out like what to put on my baby registry, right? Maybe
right.
it's I need help keeping the house clean, or oh my gosh, I have a ton of kids and I just need someone to like come and watch the kids so I can do stuff. Before birth breastfeeding education, she says, is so key to her. And I agree, right?
Hmm.
When I had my first, especially because like I didn't even know anything about breastfeeding, the hospital completely failed me. She said she needed it again before her second.
Yeah,
So, but I think like I remember being in the hospital and I was like, I didn't know what was normal and what wasn't normal. And I think like I agree with Jen, like every baby's different too. So if you can have someone that can kind of be there to help support with the breastfeeding journey with every single child, because some
hmm,
babies latch on perfectly, some don't, and then and then like the way your body comes to it is different each time too, you
yeah,
know? Um, so yeah, I think that would be key. So if you could have like the education pieces before that, you could help them out with like the mindset piece, right?
yep,
Doing maybe some like put into hypnotherapy or what, or you know
yeah,
what I'm trying to say, the hypno babies or whatever they call it.
yeah,
Um, but you could really sit there and say, okay, what is it that these people need help with that I can solve throughout the whole, prenatal
right.
portion, and then they have the baby, and then afterwards you can do a follow-up. And you
Yeah,
just come in and like maybe for the first month, or even it's that whole first like what they call the fourth
the
trimester.
trimester. Yeah,
Yeah, you could do something like that, and you just follow up for those 3 months after.
yeah,
But I think 3K would be a starting point for that. I mean,
yeah.
I couldn't see it being anything less. And think about it this way, you know, at that point, if you think of a that's very similar to a midwife, right?
Right.
Except again, the midwife is the more clinical aspect, but a midwife is there
Yep.
throughout your whole that whole pregnancy part, the birth, and then also usually about 6 weeks or so postpartum. And those are like 6K, if not more, right? For a
Yeah.
home birth midwife. So I think, yeah, I mean, I think a 3K offer makes a lot of sense there. And as we're
Okay.
building everything together, you may find that we even increase it. But if
Yeah.
we think of it from that perspective and you're trying to get to 5K, you know, you have 3K clients a month, you're there already.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the mindset I want you to get into, which is like, you
Okay.
don't have to be serving all these things a la carte to make your goals. And in fact, I would encourage you not to. I would encourage you to really try to focus on like just getting, if you can just get 2 people a month with that
Yeah.
high ticket, you could get more than your goal, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where I'd really encourage you to kind of think of. And so my cat just fell
And
off.
how many visits would you suggest would be like appropriate for that amount? Like twice a week to see somebody, or
That's going to
one?
be something I would say, let's definitely look at some, let's just get some feedback in terms of like what other people are doing to kind of find out like what the standard is. But I think, so she's saying, when would the package start? I would say probably as soon as they want to hire you, right? But I would say maybe like the second trimester, I would think of.
Yeah.
Right? Starting them in the second trimester. First trimester, a lot of times they're just like trying to survive.
Trying
But
not to throw up everything.
yeah, exactly. And then usually at that point, like there's a whole bunch of different appointments and stuff like that too. So maybe they're not even
Yeah.
thinking postpartum or anything like
Yeah.
that, doula yet. But I would say, yeah, and so I would even position this not even just as a postpartum doula, but as like a perinatal doula, perinatal / postpartum doula. But yeah, and then so we're definitely going to do a little bit of market research into this. The next thing I like to do though is we go over what I call the RMS statement. So it's refined marketing statement. So it's
Yep.
I help, you know, so and so do whatever without whatever or within like a certain time frame. Because of the nature of what you're doing, I think within a certain time frame doesn't make a whole lot of sense because you don't come up with the time frame, right? The baby does. So I think we could say like I help pregnant women, or we could say pregnant or postpartum women, right? Because you will have different sides they
Yeah.
offer, of course. And then we want to do some sort of an end result and then without. So let's reverse engineer it a little bit. We'll start off with the without because I think that might be easier than trying to figure out the exact end result of them, of what they're trying to achieve. But let's say without. So what is something that these women typically are having to do to get whatever end result, to have a happy pregnancy, to have an easy postpartum, right? What do they what do they typically have to do that they don't want to do?
Well, when you started putting that up, I thought helping women to feel their best and thrive without the overwhelm associated with pregnancy. But that was just I don't know if that's really a good marketing statement.
We're going to refine it. And I'll tell you right now, like we spend way more time on this statement than I think most people realize they're going to have to, but it's just because like we want it to be good. It's going to be the anchor to every messaging you're going to do, right?
Yeah.
So when you talk about like, oh, how do I message this? How do I present it in a good way? Like this is the work that needs to be done in order for us to do that. So without the stress of, what was it?
I just said the stress or the overwhelm of all the things that, I don't know. I don't really know, because if I were to take just one piece of what I do, I could refine it, but because there's such a huge amount of things, I don't really know how to get there.
Yeah, no, exactly. So we want to think of like, what's the overall goal that these women are trying to achieve? And at this point, right, they're pregnant, they're trying to have as stress-free or as educated of a pregnancy as possible, right? Like they want everything to go smoothly.
Healthy
Bare
and
bones,
happy.
like that's what they want, right? Yes.
Healthy and happy.
Exactly. So I help pregnant postpartum women, let's say, feel empowered with a healthy and happy birthing experience. And we can always fine tune it. That doesn't look right. What did I do? There we go. Experience without, we could say without, I like the idea of the stress, the overwhelm, confusion, I feel like is a big one. I feel like a lot of women don't know what they don't know.
Right.
Right. And so I think, say, just take some thought without, I want to say almost like without without having to figure out what you don't know. But I don't like how that sounds. Without
the stress of having to figure it all out on your own.
Yeah. I almost want to say juggle with the stress of having to juggle it all on your own. Because I think there's also like the stress of having to figure it out, but then I also think like, what about the moms who feel like they don't have to figure it out? Right?
So like they're delusional.
Well, no, I mean, I will just say like I felt
reality
like,
check.
right? Well, like I felt like that with my first, right? When I had my first, it was like, what am I doing? I felt like I had to figure it all out. By the time I had my second, I was like so much more relaxed and I felt so much more just empowered and like confident because I had already done it before.
Right.
Right. And then usually I feel like if it's multiple kids, unless you have some sort of trauma that you're having to overcome because of your previous one, or unless you have some sort of a unique situation that makes you feel like I haven't navigated these territories before, right? Then I feel like you're not really in the situation of having to figure it out. It's more just I have to juggle all the stuff I'm doing.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm thinking like the word juggle makes me feel like whether it's a first-time mom or a second-time mom or third time or fourth time or whatever, it kind of touches base on everybody, right?
Could you put without the stress and overwhelm of having to juggle it all on your own? Or is that too much the same?
No, it's not. And to be fair, this that we're doing, this is not like the statement that you're going to be putting in all of your, like, you're not going to just like make a post on Facebook that's like, I help pregnant postpartum women. Yeah. This is just kind of the anchor that helps us figure out the rest of the messaging, right? So when you have moments of like, I don't know what to post, you can come back to this message and be like, okay, I need to talk to pregnant and postpartum women. These people want healthy and happy birthing experiences, and they don't want the stress and overwhelm of having to juggle it all on their own. How can I present? You know what I mean? It just kind of helps you like get really clear on exactly what you're trying to say in a way that just helps you to anchor your messaging. So, okay, cool. So I feel like this is a good starting point. We can always come back and revisit this and tweak it and fine tune it. And as your business grows and evolves, there likely will be some fine tuning. And then also part of it too is like, as you're working with your different clients and you're getting more feedback on the types of things that they're trying to achieve, always listen to your clients, right? When they're giving you feedback of this is what I want, then that's the type of stuff you need to incorporate into this and tweak into it. Right? Okay, cool. So kind of going into the funnel. So generally the way that we like to do it is you have some sort of a free lead gen community, right? This is where the school community would come in. So you would have a free group on school where you funnel people into it. You nurture them like crazy. They get to know you as a postpartum pregnant or perinatal postpartum doula. And you give them a ton of feedback and value, right? In there, that's where they get to know you. They get to use all your resources. And quite frankly, if somebody doesn't have the money to work with you one-on-one, they can still succeed without you in that group, right? The low ticket, this is going to be kind of those smaller offers, right? So this might be the more a la carte services that we can still position in packages, right? So for instance, maybe you also have services where, hey, if they just need lactation support, you can do that, but you offer it in bundles of packages, right? So instead of just paying per session, it's like, hey, I can give you 4 sessions for this amount or 6 sessions for this amount. You know what I mean? And then they just pay in bundles. And then the high ticket, would be the full package, basically.
Yep.
And this would be that perinatal and postpartum. And this is the one that I think a 3K offer makes sense for this one, because this is just huge. This is a lot of time. And again, if you think about it, like a 3K offer, you're pretty much working with them for an entire year at that point, right? Because it's perinatal plus postpartum. So you're thinking, what, 12 months or so. And so this is part of where you want to kind of think about, like, how much should I charge and what should that look like? Because if you think about 3K, so I'm just going to bring out my calculator so we can do some quick math. But say you start them at 12 weeks, right? So that would be about 28 weeks during their pregnancy that you would be with them. And 28 divided by 4 is about 7 months. And then you have the trimester after that, so that's about 10 months. So let's break down 3,000 divided by 10, which is 30, right? Or 300. So now you're looking at about $300 a month. So that's a good indication of, like, do you want to do one session a month with them, right? Because that's $300. So I think that's a pretty good reasonable thing. I would probably say about one session a month, I think makes sense. And then the way that you do the postpartum can look different, right? It doesn't necessarily mean one session a month, but maybe you do one 48 hours after baby's born. And then you just kind of like break it up into like duration after baby's born, right?
Yeah.
So you could do like once a month until baby's born. Once baby is born, then, this is like our postpartum schedule.
Yeah, that might get tricky with the prenatal yoga, though. People are probably going to want more than once a month for the prenatal yoga.
You could have videos that they can do in the meantime, though.
Oh.
Right, like it doesn't all have to be in person. And that's also part of where like the virtual stuff kind of comes in hand too, because say you could offer prenatal yoga to clients that are not in person.
Right.
Right, because you can do it virtually with them. You can give them videos, right? Stuff like that. So, I mean, I wouldn't sit there and promote like prenatal yoga and then just give them a series of videos. That seems disingenuous. But you can sit there and say, hey, look, like for the first 30 minutes of every session, we're going to do like a prenatal yoga exercise that incorporates some stretching, some deep breathing, all of those different things. And then and I'll give you like a couple of videos to do until the next session, that you're going to do repeatedly. Right? Because realistically, you're going to want them to do as much of it as possible anyway. So even if you showed up once a week, that's still not going to be enough prenatal yoga to help them. I mean, it will, but you know what I mean? Like it's not going to be that much. So you'd want to give them video resources anyway.
Yep.
And that can kind of be part of the lead gen community, right? So prenatal yoga routines. Maybe you have like a little vault of prenatal yoga exercises that's just got like 5 of them in there that they can just pick from and follow along to. And then that can be part of like when you work with them, you do it one-on-one with them, and then you can recommend which one you recommend that they do. Like, hey, when you go into the prenatal yoga routines, like these are the ones I recommend you do until the next session. Or like you help them build out their routine.
Yeah.
I think that would be really helpful too.
Like a progression.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that way it's kind of like they're doing it on their own, but they're getting the guidance from you. Right. And then on those calls, they're getting it one-on-one with you. So you can help kind of critique them and see where they're at and all those things. So nutrition was a big part of it too.
Yep.
So I would do a nutrition module as well, which maybe has like some basics on pregnancy nutrition, but then maybe also some recipes, right? Like here's some like ones that we would recommend in pregnancy because these are like really high in omega-3s. Maybe there's like a salmon recipe or something that's like, hey, this is really good for your baby's brain, So like kind of coming up with like a basics for nutrition, but then also some recipes that are really helpful for someone that's pregnant. You could even have morning sickness recipes too, right? Like I feel like that is a big one where a lot of women are trying to figure out how the heck can I eat when I feel like I'm going to throw up all the time.
Right.
So something like that would be really helpful. There was birth education. So even though you're not a birth doula, you can have a birth module. So they can just kind of watch it and be educated on the birth process, what their options are in birth, right?
Yeah.
And you can give them a little bit of support in terms of some generic education.
Yep.
So I think that would be really helpful. You also did breastfeeding.
Mm-hmm.
So I would also do a little, because like Jen said, a lot of, like, unless you've breastfed before, and even if you have, sometimes there's trauma or just every baby's different. So having a whole module on breastfeeding, I think would be super, super helpful. Let's see, what else did we do? And then I would also say you're going to want to do like a bonus resources type of thing.
Yeah.
And in the bonus resources section, I would have like maybe a pregnancy and postpartum planner, right? Something that they can use to kind of document like all the stuff that they need for baby, like their different medications, their appointments, stuff like that. I actually have some of those that I can just give you and you can use that I've created before. And then even something like a birth plan.
Yep.
Right? Like how to create your birth plan. So maybe it's like a template that they can just, I know a big popular one is, I think it's Natural Mama. Is that the name of it? But they do a really popular one where it just print, like you can just go in, you sign up on their website, which is like genius because they're getting your email, right? But you sign up on their website, you get this thing emailed to you, and then you just print it out and you just circle what you want. And so it makes it like literally as easy as possible for both mom and doctor to understand exactly what she wants for her birth plan. And it has all of them. So like there's like a sheet for like a C-section, like if you're having a C-section, if you're having a home birth, if you're having a hospital birth, if you're doing like, you know what I mean? So it has all the different options. You can select like your best. And it was also nice too, because like when I was planning our C-section, right, which was not part of the plan, then our doctor actually recommended that. She was like, go on this website, put in your email address, get the printout, because it also educates you on all your options for a C-section. So it was like this huge sheet of like all these things that you can choose from. And I'm like, I didn't even know you could choose any of these things as a C-section, right? But like they have like their version of delayed cord clamping and stuff like that, or gentle C-section, like all these different things. So it was pretty interesting to be able to kind of see the different ideas. So I think something like that would be cool. Having a birth plan. And the nice thing about this too is like once you have this community set up, this is a really easy win for you to connect with a lot of different midwives and say, hey, I've got this treasure trove of resources. If you want to refer your clients to it, right, it's got all this information. So midwives, doulas, birth photographers, like these are all people that you should be connecting with because they're going to have complementary businesses and they could recommend their people into your group, right?
Right.
Yeah. Cool. And then so for more bonus resources, there could even be like printable recipes.
Yeah.
Right.
And then like the things you need to pack for your
oh yes.
delivery.
Yes. What do they call it? Hospital bag. Yeah. I know. It's funny. I've never really packed. I've had 4 kids. I've never really packed a hospital bag.
I did, and I don't think we even opened it.
Yeah, I did for my first, and wait, no, I didn't for my first because we were planning a home birth, and then we ended up in the hospital. I was like throwing stuff in there, and then my husband had to leave to go get stuff. But yeah, so funny. So hospital bag, and then I would say, what was the other one? I was just thinking of it. Oh, coloring books. That's another one. Coloring books for kids. Yeah.
Oh.
So, birth education for siblings, I think would be a really cool, unique angle.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I did with the last 2 actually was I got there. You can buy these coloring books off of Amazon, and they're designed to like go through each stage of the pregnancy. So like each day it was like, or each week, it would show you a page of like what the baby looked like that week, in utero. And the kids can color it with you and you can show them like, this is the placenta, this is like all these things. And then there was another page where you would log all your information. So like, how are you feeling this week? Like all those types of things.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool because it was like an interactive book that I could keep track of my pregnancy, but also do it with my kids. Right.
Yeah.
So,
And that,
but I think something like that, like coloring pages and stuff like that for siblings, so they could become more intimate with the child while child's still in utero, but
mhm,
then also get comfortable with the birthing process. If their parents are choosing a home birth and they're going
mhm,
to be experiencing that, right?
right.
Then the more coloring pages and things that they can do that show these different scenes that they may be seeing,
Yep.
right, might be helpful.
And that
Cool.
could be something I could put under my, as an option under my Amazon affiliate link too,
Mhm.
right? Like
Oh yeah.
in a bundle there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say and then the other part to the bonus resources would be your links,
Mhm.
right? So resource links. So you could have like an Amazon checkout page of like your preferred products,
Yep.
right? So like if you're looking for like really good like nipple balms or baby oil or like these coloring books or
Mhm.
any of these things, you can just have
Yeah.
a list of like all these things that are prenatal or postpartum support for mom, but also
Yeah.
just like stuff for the kids, right? Like or for the baby.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that that's a totally valid thing to do too. And then of course you could have like your Arbonne link and all the other links that you have to
Yeah.
I think it's is it Thanks is the period underwear you do, or is that just the really popular one?
No, it's called Anahita. And then
Anahita, that's right.
I also am with Norwex,
Mm,
and a company
yeah.
called Gel Moment, which is non-toxic, like beauty products and nail. You okay, bud? Okay.
Mhm.
What was I going to say? Gel Moment is also non-toxic nail polish.
Gotcha. Yeah, you could put all of
So,
those in there.
yeah.
So I think that would be awesome. And then that way you just have like the different links that people can check out the different stuff that you recommend, right? Um, but yeah, this looks pretty solid so far in terms of like having a really solid community that's super educational. Like I said, you could connect with so many different people in the birthing space
Mhm.
and provide just a place that just has a ton of resources and community, right? And you could even like inside of there, I think one of the other fun things is I know I joined a couple of them, which was like groups of like your kids are going to be born around the same time frame, right?
Oh, yeah.
So like October 2025 babies, right? Like
Yep.
something like that. Um, so you could even do like maybe groups like that.
Yep.
Might be kind of cool. Like under the categories, you could do something like that, like do within 2025 or do like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then you could also do like, I think it'd be really cool to kind of segment out like first time moms, but also moms that like have had multiples, girl moms, boy moms, right? Like you can
Yeah.
kind of play with it and figure out like what do my audience actually want, but how can
Yeah.
I get them to connect as a community and really get to know each other, right? And obviously you want them all talking, but I also think there's a little bit of camaraderie when you can like when they're all kind of in the same stage, right? Like I
Yeah.
really enjoyed especially when I had my first, I really enjoyed being around moms that had newborns
Yep.
because it's like you guys are going through the same thing I'm going through, right?
Yeah.
And so kind of being able to create a space like that, whether it's a quick virtual, coffee chat for, first time moms, or it's a coffee chat for, multiple moms that are pregnant again, or it's a coffee chat for like, moms that are delivering within the next 3 months, right? So
Yeah.
like third trimester moms, like you can kind of figure out what exactly they want as your audience starts to grow, but just kind of start thinking about like having virtual coffee chats so that they can connect.
Yeah.
And the nice thing there is like they also get to know you and they're also really comfortable with you when you're doing those as well, right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty valuable on a lot of different levels.
Now, do you think there should be a free community on School, or should it be a paid
I would do free, 100%. Do it for free.
community?
No. I would do it.
A lot of resources for free.
It
A
is.
lot of my time,
Yeah, and so by the
But
end of this month, or by the end of this week, this will all be set up for you though. So I know it sounds
what?
like a lot. Yes, we're going to be working on. That's what we're going to be doing in these sessions. So
Oh,
we're going to be building out
thank you.
everything. Yeah. No, that's part of it, right? Like by the end
But
of this
I have
week,
to,
you're going to have your entire business built out. Yes.
but I have to pay for school though.
Yeah, and we can get you on the
Correct.
$9 a month one. Yes.
Yeah, that's where I got to start because
Yeah. No, and that's fine. So that's where I was saying, like, with $9 a month, there's really no reason to not be on school, right?
Okay.
But you can absolutely start there. And then once you start making money, upgrade, right? Because like there is a lot of benefits to having the 99 a month. There's a lot of automations that you're missing out on, right? By
Okay.
not doing it. But at the same time, like you don't have to wait till you're making enough to be able to do 99 a month. Start with the $9. Let's start getting people in. Let's start getting you paid. And then there are certain things that you can offer as like an upgrade. So for instance, the birth education, people pay hundreds of dollars to get birth education. So if that's a really solid course on the anatomy, on the birthing process, the different, all of those things, then you could charge $199 or something, right? And then now you've got like kind of like some upsells in the classroom too. So I would
So the
say
only way
that's
I would the way I would make money on this would be, because if they're joining the school group for free and I'm offering all this free information,
Mhm.
like how do I upsell it, I guess is what you're saying.
Yeah, so we'll talk about all of that as well in the future
Okay.
calls. And what this
Okay.
is basically going to do is we're going to create the school community. This gives the low friction getting in, right?
Okay.
So if you want to think about the older ways of doing a lot of marketing was people would say, "Hey, I've got this like guide for you. I've got this checklist for you. I've got whatever sort of freebie for you. Sign up with your email and then we'll send it to you." People would do that. They would get the email, right? Because it's low friction. All I have to do is give you my email, right? Like I'm not
Right.
buying anything. I'm not doing anything like that. All I have to do is give you my email.
Yep.
Then they would do that. They would get whatever they wanted in their email address. And then they would be sent all these different like marketing emails to try to upsell them, right? That's traditionally how a lot of businesses have done things. It still works. But now with school, it's interesting because school can be that opt-in, right? Which means you can still gather their email through one of the questions when they join. They come in, but now they're super warmed up. It's way more powerful and impactful than an email list. And they come in and they get so much more. So they come in for whatever X, Y, and Z thing you're promoting, right? But then they get so much more out of it. And they get to connect with other people and they get to talk to you and actually get to know you personally. And so the conversion rates of actually signing those people and making more money is way higher than like an email list. So the goal here is to have a free group that's super like everybody wants a piece of this. They all join. And then they're going to get to know you by being in that group. They're going to see all of the valuable information you have to give them by absorbing it in the group. And they're going to reach out to you and say, how can I work with you one-on-one? Like, do you offer remote services? Oh my gosh, funny you asked. Yes, I do. Right? Like, let's book a quick call and see if it's a good fit. It's 15 minutes. I'm just going to go over kind of how it works. And then if you're a good fit, we can hop on a longer call. Right.
How would that be
Mhm.
different than what I'm already offering though? Like I feel like if I'm offering all this stuff in the free community, no one's gonna want to pay for it because they already have all the information. And
so information,
there's so much
everybody
stuff.
can get anything. No, it makes sense. So think about it this way. If you go on YouTube, do you think they could get recipes for morning sickness?
Absolutely.
Can they get all the nutrition information that they need?
Probably if they looked hard enough.
Right, yeah. Honestly, they wouldn't even have to look that hard. Could they get prenatal yoga exercises?
Yep.
Could they get birth education?
Yep.
Like they can get all of this for free anyway.
Right.
Right. And yet these businesses are still in business and they still thrive because people will pay for faster results and for easier results.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing here. So this is a free group. It's going to give them all the resources that they want and need. They're going to come in and be like, wow, this is amazing. And some of them will just use all of that to get the result they want. And that's fine because honestly, worst case situation, they do that. They get a whole bunch of value from you and then that's it. Best case situation, they come in, they see all the value and then they hire you and tell their best friends about you because you're awesome, right? So, and then somewhere in between, you're going to get people that'll come in and be like, this is really awesome, but I don't have the money to pay for it. But like, let me tell all my friends about this place because this is awesome. And some of them will buy from you, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot more value in here. And then Jen was also saying like, they trust you more than a random YouTuber because you built a connection in that community in the school group. And I 100% agree. Like that's exactly what the school community is all about, which is that built-in trust, like they're getting to know you, you're hopping on calls with them, right? You're giving them advice, and you're just connecting with them on another level, right?
Mhm.
So, but then exactly, Jen's saying like, and people are going to pay for trust. That's exactly what it is. They pay because they trust you, right? At the end of the day, if they need someone that's like a good postpartum doula, or they want to work one-on-one with someone, who are they going to go to? Are they going to go to some random YouTuber or some like person that they found in a Facebook group?
Mhm.
Like, no, they're going to go to you because they've built so much trust and connection with you, right? So that's the name of the game with this. It's you're building a lead generation community. You're going to put a ton of stuff in here. People are going to come to it because it's so awesome. And then a percentage of those people are going to want to work with you. And it's the same thing like if you were to run ads, right? Except ads are way more than $9 a month. Right. And you don't build the trust and you don't build the foundations. You don't build any of that stuff, but you're getting in front of a bunch of people and a percentage of them are going to buy from you. Right. So that's really what the lead gen is. It's like you're making this really awesome space. A bunch of people are going to come in. Yeah. Jen saying community is the new SEO. I agree.
What
But
does
people are
SEO
going to come.
stand for?
Search engine optimization.
Oh.
So if you think about it, like back in the day, you used to go into Google, right? And you'd say, oh, like I need, I'm just going to use a towing company because like, that's the first thing that came to my mind, but it's a bad example. But okay, so I need a postpartum doula. They would go into Google and say like postpartum doula near me, right? Well, that helps, but that's not really what people do when they want a postpartum doula, right? What do people do when they want postpartum doulas? They go into Facebook, they talk to their friends, like they're really looking for who can I connect with? Right? Or who has used this person before that I trust. So it's trust and connection based. School communities are becoming so big. We're still in the early adopter phase, which like is crazy to me because I've been in this for like over a year now, but it's crazy that like school communities are just growing and growing and growing. And ultimately what's going to end up happening is people are going to say, oh, I need a postpartum doula. So let me go into school and look up the best community. And it's funny because I'm already doing that. Like even just yesterday, I was talking with my husband and he's like, oh, we need to find like some like gourmet fun recipes to like start trying and spice up food in our house, you know? And he was like, you should go into school and see if there's any communities for like gourmet cooking. And I was like, great idea. And I did. I looked around, you know? But it's like, that's the SEO, right? So yeah, and it's like, I do it all the time. That's pretty much how it's working now. It's like people are going to school. People who are avid school users, they go to school first because that's way more valuable than like a Google or any of these oversaturated markets where you don't really know what you're getting. Right. In a school community, if they have a free one that's up, you can just hop in, check it out, see if you vibe with it. And then if you do, you buy from them. Right. So that's definitely the way that things are going. I think it's a great idea. And then, yeah, like I said, with $9 a month, like it has never been more affordable and easy to get a ton of leads, you know? Yeah, so this looks great. I think that this is going to be an awesome community. For the ladies that are listening, do you guys have anything else that you think that you'd want to see in there as moms? We'll give a few minutes, see if anybody has any.
Yeah, sorry, I was just reading. I think my biggest struggle was how to go from a first to a second, but also I had a huge age gap. So I have a 9-year-old and a 2-year-old. So he was 7. So I love the idea of the hospital or the sibling resources, but also just like what to expect when you're introducing another baby to a child, and more than just a 2-year-old. That was one of the things that I found really struggled with. I found all the resources out there are used to the people that are doing 24-month age gaps because that's the trend. And I couldn't find anything that helped me with a larger age gap. Or, I mean, even people that have 3-4 kids, and I'm sure Michelle has this, her oldest probably has a bigger age gap than, you know, her younger ones do. So it was like, there's different ways to handle the birth education and how they're involved in the relationship and how they're involved with the new baby when they come. And I think that was my biggest struggle. Yeah, I love all the other things that you had. Breastfeeding was a struggle both times. And I don't know if this is necessarily a case if you're going to have a community, and I don't know if this is the case in the US, just a background. I'm not from there and I don't live there. But what to expect from the hospital paperwork? Like, what are they going to ask me about the birth certificate? What do I need to have in terms of paperwork? Birth registration. For me, I had to deal. I gave birth to both my kids in completely different countries that I'm from, and both kids were not born in the same country as each other. So it was like, what do I expect from the hospital? What paperwork do I need? Now, maybe state by state, that might be different. What paperwork should you have with you? Or, maybe insurance paper or a passport or whatever that stuff is. That was really helpful because when I downloaded checklists for the hospital, that stuff wasn't on there. Also because people tend to not think about that, or insurance paperwork. So different. I mean, the more different you can be above all of these great things, people go, oh, wow, she really does have everything in here, because I can find all this stuff on YouTube, but she also thinks about this, and this that is not anywhere, So Michelle's brought a lot of great stuff out of you, and now it almost makes me want to have a third child, which is not happening.
Well, to speak to your age gap comment, I'm the oldest of 6, and the age gap is 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah, see there, I bet your mom couldn't find any stuff on what to do when you have a 25-year-old and a newborn.
Well, I mean, there's 6 of us, so she had plenty of other kids to deal with at the time. But it's funny because she was having my youngest sister while friends of mine from high school were having their kids. So she was in the hospital. Like, I went to visit her. I'm like, oh, hey, I went to high school with you. Like, they're in like the same maternity ward as my mom. They're like, oh, did you have a baby? I'm like, nope, just another sister. So, yeah.
That's so funny.
So.
And then Ashley put in here, so mainly giving in confidence in case of a hospital visit, because if it's their first, doctors and nurses try to intimidate. So something like knowledge of medicines and epidurals, C-sections, etc. I think a lot of that would probably go into the birth education module.
Yeah.
Yeah. But cool. All right, cool. So I feel like we've got a pretty good solid idea on what we would have in the lead gen group. How do you feel about that so far?
It looks good. It's going to be, I'm going to have to try and find all my resources to put in there when we get to that point.
That's all right. Part of this will be homework for you, and then part of it'll be just stuff we're doing together, right? So like I said, we'll do as many sessions as we need to make sure that all of this is done before the end of Friday.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So then we have your low ticket, which is like the a la carte services. So this is like the lactation support. Was it perinatal or
nutrition?
Let's just do, so perinatal nutrition, and then the yoga, and then postpartum care, and I think that was perfect, and then the prenatal care. Cool. So I think what I would probably do, because even like the prenatal care, you could even do like a birth prep type of thing. This is something I don't know if it even exists, but as a mom, I would have loved for someone to have like come to me when I was 39 weeks pregnant, like super close to giving birth. They come, clean everything, like help me prep my hospital, like just help me do everything, right? Because like at the end, there's so much to do. And especially if you've got multiple kids, it's like, it would just be nice to have someone come, clean everything, like help me meal prep a whole bunch of meals and stick them in the freezer, like all of that type of stuff too. So you could do like prenatal care or like birth prep, something like that.
My sister and her friends do nesting parties where whoever's pregnant, like a bunch of their friends come and they clean out the fridge. They do like a deep clean, just like a month before the friend is supposed to give birth, and then do like a whole, Oh,
I love that. You could even incorporate that as part of your services.
Yeah.
Right. So you could do kind of like a birth prep / nesting party option where they hire you to basically plan and execute that type of thing. Let's think about, like, I
Yes.
would totally hire someone to do that. Like, yes, arrange for all of my friends to come here and clean everything, and then you just
Yes.
manage it all and make sure it all happens, right?
Yep.
Like, absolutely, I would 100% hire someone to do that. And then also, like, it could be included with that full 3K package too.
Yep.
Right? Because the way I'm thinking of it is, like, if you had something maybe on, like, their 8th month of pregnancy or something, and that was, like, your visit where you would come for an actual nesting party.
Yep.
And that way you can come and just organize everything and be like, okay, you guys do this, you guys do this. Like, we're going to meal plan, like, or we're going to prep all this food into meals,
Yep.
that type of thing. You could even include a subscription to, like, some sort of thing. Think about it, they're paying you 3K. If you sat there and spent like 200 of that on like a meal planning or like a meal delivery service or something,
Yep.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's a huge return. Think about how many postpartum doulas are doing something like that for their clients. Probably none, right?
Well, so with the perinatal nutrition stuff, so I haven't signed up yet, but this is it's a possibility.
Okay.
Once I start kind of getting moving with things and setting stuff up. So Blue Apron, do you know Blue Apron?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
So they have an affiliate program. So you have a link, and when someone purchases a meal plan or a meal through them, you get a 15% commission. So that's one of the other affiliate links I'm going to add to my list of resources. So yes, I can come and help you with nutrition stuff, but I can also guide you on, hey, you can sign up for Blue Apron, get meal deliveries for however long you want,
Yeah.
without me having to stand here and hold your hand side by, giving them the education of what to add to their carts and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I love that.
So.
And I think too, it would be really cool. So I'm just trying to think. I feel like, especially as a multi-mom, right? With the first one, it was all stuff. I remember when I was creating like the registry of all the stuff that I wanted, it was just a bunch of stuff. It's like, I need a crib, I need like this, I need that, I need all these things. And then ultimately at the end of the day, when I had multiples, it was like, just give me cash. Like, that's all I want. Right. And I think sometimes, because I think too, when people are thinking of like postpartum doula, I think this is probably going to be one of the biggest objections you're going to get, is almost every mom in the world would love to have these services, but it's how can I afford it?
Right.
And so I'm wondering if that can even be part of like the services of like, hey, I'll help you kind of fundraise, and not really fundraise because I don't want it to sound like that, but just kind of like coming up with like, because there's also the meal train. Have you heard of that?
Yep.
So you can like help them with the meal train and help them with like setting up these different things that they can start to maybe get some money that can go towards the postpartum doula, or can go towards their home birth fees or their photography fees or whatever types of things that they're doing. Right. I think something like that would be really helpful, and you can help them like set all of that up, and you can help them kind of like actually do that.
Yeah. And I think part of like what Jen just said about like, a lot of times we don't take care of ourselves because we think it's selfish or whatnot, but like also part of what, with the birth education stuff, or even once you get into a conversation, like having a conversation with the spouse or partner, whoever it is that's going to be there as well, and helping them to see the value in it. Because I mean, obviously there's like different types of family units out there, so like if the partner, whoever that might be, is say they're deployed, or say they only get 1 week of I say paternity leave, but 1 week of leave, who knows, like being able to show that person, hey, this is going to be helpful for the mother in your absence, whenever that might happen. So let's get you on board, because this is, it's a family affair.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I agree. Yeah, and we'll do all of that stuff too. Like, that'll all be part of the messaging and part of like your sales calls, right? When you're hopping on calls, yes, you're going to be talking to the moms, but also like a lot of them are probably going to have to run this by their spouses. So I would say probably that first call You
Yeah.
could do with the moms. The second call, have both of them on.
Yeah.
If it's possible.
And for the 3,000 that we're talking about.
Yep.
It'd be more if I'm going to do pre and postpartum, or prenatal and postpartum.
Mhm.
If I'm going to have multiple visits, like, I guess, and maybe Jen can help or someone else can help with this question, but like, should I be thinking about breaking it down by like hour? Like, okay, I spend 3 hours with you. So if you paid 3,000, and I've done 3 hours, that's, I don't know. I don't want to undersell myself and be like, oh, I'm going to be charging essentially $20 an hour for all these hours. Like, how many hours of services would you suggest at a $3,000 price point?
Yeah. So first off, we're not going to think of it in terms of hours for the sake of value, right? What they're paying for is the value. They're not paying for hours of your time. Now, on the other hand, what you're doing is you're trading your time for this money, right? So you got to kind of think of it from two different perspectives. It's not necessarily, there's two components to it, which is one, how much money do you want to get paid for your time? Because you don't want to go under that. And then number two is, what's the value that I'm bringing to this person that they're willing to pay for it? And when you can kind of find where that matches, that's like the the perfecto moment. But what we want to think about is kind of building out this program. So you are going to be for 7 months doing 1 session a week or 1 session a month, right? Because that's the whole prenatal component of it. If we start them off starting at month 4.
Okay.
Then they'd be having basically about 7 months or so of sessions. So we can just say on average about 7 sessions.
Okay.
And then you have the postpartum. So what would you want the postpartum to look like?
Again, I would probably say either 2 to 3 times a week for 3 months, but it depends on how many clients I have.
Yeah, so that's a lot. Like, there's, as much as I know you want to help women and you want to help them with what they're doing, 2 to 3 times a week for 3 months is a lot, right?
What about for the first 6 weeks?
I would probably say once a week for the first 6 weeks. Like, there's they don't need more than that. And I also think too, like, especially if you're coming to them,
right?
I know specifically as a mom, like having someone coming in my home, even if you're coming to cook and clean and do all those things, it's kind of like, I don't want someone in my space that much,
Yeah.
So I would probably do maybe every week for the first like 3 weeks, and then every other week for like the next 4 weeks.
Okay.
So maybe like 5 sessions total over like 2 months, pretty much. Like the first, because I would say like the first month, maybe once a week, the second month coming in twice every 2 weeks. So that's 6. I think that's a pretty solid one. Because you're still providing a ton of value, but you're also not like over coming in. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I guess that would give me space to do like 3 clients a week at that. So we're not just talking about 1 client for like this whole time.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's part of it too. Like if you were going in 2 to 3 times, like you can't get more than 1 client with that. Right.
Yeah.
Because that would just be way too hectic. Yeah. So for this, I think this is way more doable. So this gives you a total of about 13 sessions. And so if we did, let's see, 3,000 divided by 13, you're looking at about $230 per hour or per session. Now, how long would each of these sessions be?
So that's what I have to figure out. And looking at some of the other options out there, a lot of these postpartum doulas charge like, say, $40 an hour, or they put a package together for $110 for a 3-hour time block. Like they give a little bit of a discount for like 3 hours, which, I mean, if I'm going to be, again, it depends on what I'm doing though. Like, am I going to spend an hour cleaning? Am I going to spend 3 hours cleaning, meal prep, and watching baby? Like I kind of feel like for me, for my time, I'd like to do a 3-hour time block because it gives me the opportunity to get in and do a good amount of stuff if I'm only coming once a week.
Okay. And that would be for the postpartum, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, but the prenatal, we would probably do 1 hour, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So that makes sense. I think that that makes a lot of solid sense. What I would probably do is, let's see. Okay, so this is 7 hours and this is 6, that's 18. So 18 plus 7. So that's 25 hours. That puts you at about 120 per hour. Which I'm going to be honest with you, looking at this and how intensive this is, I am feeling like you could probably increase the price. And I would also have different things with the full package, meaning this makes sense for someone that's local to you, but you're also going to be offering virtual services.
Right.
And so the postpartum would then go down to 1 hour each time because it's really just a check-in, right? You're not doing anything physically for them. You're more just kind of following up with them. So this is what I think. I would probably do a 5K for the in-person.
Yeah.
And then for full package with the virtual, do a 3K.
Okay.
And just with the idea of the postpartum would be 1 hour sessions instead of 3-hour sessions.
Yeah. So here's a quick question for you though. For the postpartum, so like as an OT, so there's physical things when you're trying to breastfeed and you're in awkward positions, you're holding a baby, you're trying to carry a car seat, like, you know, that's all the things I can do as an OT, like shoulder, elbow, wrist, hand, like one-on-one hand work with somebody. I can also offer those virtually, not as well, but like, hey, here's some recommendations for ergonomics of how to do this and how to do that. But also one of the courses I'm taking is about, so a big thing in OT is like sense of self and like kind of like the mental and side of things. So like helping, OTs working with postpartum women, like recognizing postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, how to, counsel somebody or like direct somebody through that and helping them to find their sense of self. Like, yes, you have this new little tiny being that cries and poops and just wants to eat all the time. Like, a lot of times, and as moms, we all have felt this, I'm sure at some point, like you feel like you've lost yourself, right? And you're like, how do I get back to being me? What can I do? Like encouraging someone to like, hey, join a mom's group, go out for a walk. Like those are all things that I can do as an OT that could be covered under insurance. So should I even, for virtual stuff, should I even worry about the insurance thing and just have them pay like directly?
I would just incorporate that as part of your program, right? So if the postpartum, say you're in person, and think about it this way, those types of things that you're talking about is pretty much what you would be doing for a virtual client anyway, right? Because you can't do any of the other stuff. So for that first hour, if you think about it this way, that first hour should look the same for virtual or in person, which is just you sit there, you do the sense of self stuff, you're giving them recommendations, you're checking on their lactation, right? You're doing all of that type of stuff. And then after that, you have the 2 hours. So if it's someone that's in person, then it's the 2 hours of physical help. So that's how I would break it down, where that first hour is just like you're checking on who they are, you're kind of connecting with them on an emotional level, making sure they're okay emotionally, that they're being supported, giving them recommendations in terms of like ergonomics and doing all the things that they're doing, right? The lactation, like let me watch you nurse your baby, like all of those things. So you can kind of give them feedback or like, what's your experience with nursing? How is that feeling? All of those things, giving them that support. And then after that first hour, then you can kind of go into the 2 hours of the physical help. Which at that point you might sit there and say, here's, for now I'm going to go into 2 hours of doing, X, Y, and Z. Here's the different options you have to choose from that I can help you with today. Which ones would you recommend? Or which ones would you prefer? right? Do you
Yeah.
want me to play with your children so you can do stuff? Do you want me to do laundry and fold that and put it away for you, clean the kitchen? Do you want me to meal prep? Do you want, like, what do you want me to do, right? And so you can
Thanks for
have a
that.
couple different options.
Yeah.
So,
So as far as like the OT part goes,
mhm.
you know, like I've seen women, like, you know, pregnant women who have terrible carpal tunnel, right? So like that's something I can offer. And if somebody in, you know, in the 15-minute or, you know, whatever consult call, I can determine like, okay, here's the things that, you know, are going to be private pay basically, and here's what we can do under insurance. But under
Mhm.
insurance, it's going to be, you know, they pay a copay and I get, you know, a small percentage of that, right? So
Yeah.
it would be less than 120 an hour for sure, but it would be more than $40 an hour as a typical postpartum doula might be charging. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? So
Yeah. So I probably wouldn't worry so much about the insurance part of it, to be honest.
okay,
Because, like, yeah, like, sure, this is something that you could bill separately under insurance and take it through insurance and all that stuff, but it's already being grouped into a program here, which for the value for what it is absolutely incredible, right? Because even like as a 5K, right? I paid more than that for my midwife.
mhm,
I paid about half of that for my doula,
okay,
and the doula didn't like do a lot of the stuff, right? So I think, and that was just the birth doula. Like, she was just a birth doula. She wasn't really like, she wasn't really coming and doing the postpartum stuff. She wasn't really doing all these things. And she was
yeah,
great. I have no complaints about her. But just the fact that, like, I'm just trying to bring home that you can 100% incorporate, have an amazing package. And this is a steal. It looks like a lot of cash because it is, but it's a steal for the value that it's bringing,
yeah.
you
The
know?
other thing too, like on my pamphlet, it shows like OT services. So for instance, say
Mhm.
somebody has a baby born with torticollis or
Yep.
has a baby who has brachial plexus injury and they need to come to the clinic or I need to go to their house to see them. That would just be OT, right?
Yeah.
That would not be under the postpartum stuff, you know,
I would,
or
yeah, that would be a completely, that would be a referral, right? So at that point,
right,
you would be saying, I'm seeing X, Y, and Z. It is something I can help you with, but it's going to be helped under an OT situation.
yeah,
Here's where you can like, here's where you can book that
yeah,
appointment, insurance, and then you're having a conversation about insurance, right?
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, that would be a different thing. Like, that's not going to be just because that's a totally different thing, right?
yeah,
Um, but what we're doing here, like, this is really just getting them prepared for birth.
yeah.
Once they give birth, helping them adjust afterwards.
Okay.
Um, yeah. And then for the lactation support, like, we can look up all this stuff too and kind of build out. We have about a half hour left. So
Okay.
if you're still good to go, let's go
Yeah.
ahead and work on it.
Yep.
Do you have an idea on like how much these types of things typically cost for lactation support?
I didn't write that down, but I can look it up.
Yeah. Let's
And
do
it
some
depends.
workout right now. Let's figure this out.
I do know that if I wanted to take so because I'm a CBC, I
Mhm.
can upgrade to the IB, I can never remember it, International Breastfeeding Lactation, I don't know,
I think it's like
IBCLC,
IBCLC. Yeah.
IBCLC. I can upgrade to that through the place where I did all my education
Mhm.
for a small fee.
Yep.
And I'd have to go and get that certification. But like since I'm already a CBC, it's a short jump and a short
Yeah.
small cost to upgrade, which I could do. But I'm also taking the courses, like I said, through the OT
Mhm.
continuing ed. That's
Yeah.
it's a little more than CBC, but it's not quite an IB CLC. So it's
Okay.
like a different perspective, I guess, from that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, as far as like what it costs, I don't really know, but where would I look?
Yeah. So let's just do some
I'm
Googling.
gonna I'm gonna go to saltwater doulas,
Yes. Let's see.
which I actually reached out to them a
Mhm.
while ago about. Oh, did I just turn you off? Where'd you go?
Nope. I'm here.
Okay. I reached out to them a while ago about connecting and, you know, being one of the providers, and I never heard back. So
Oh no.
yeah.
That's-
So I was like, you know, so they do have a sliding scale. Let's see.
Yeah. So lactation support. I'm on their website now.
Yep.
Private consultations. So they have an hour per hour or $100 an hour.
Yep.
For in-home hands-on consultation, virtual is $65 an hour.
Yep.
Cool. And then there's also like group classes and stuff like that too, which
Yeah.
you could do as part of your group as well in the school group. You could do something like a monthly membership that gets access to like monthly breastfeeding classes, monthly education, like birth education classes. You know what I mean? Like you could offer extra additional support at a much more affordable like monthly fee.
Yeah.
So that could be something we could add in the future. It's not going to be like the main thing I would tell you to focus on right now, just because there's so many things that, you know, you could do right now. So I want you to focus on the things that are going to get you more money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, so kind of knowing this, like $100 an hour.
Yeah.
So you figure, let's go back to where you were, share this tab. I don't want to pin that. I want to mute. Sorry, just muting. So if we go back to here, so say if you wanted to do like a lactation support, right? We could do something. So if they're saying like $100 an hour, I think that's probably pretty accurate. So I was thinking like if you're doing say 3 sessions, again, you want kind of bundles, right?
Yeah.
So we could do like 3 sessions for $300 or for even $250. 6 sessions for $550 or something. And then you could do like a 9 session. I always like to have 3s.
Yeah.
The 9 sessions for and then that one, what are we at? So 800. Cool. So then 9 sessions for 800. Because you never know, like there are plenty of people that'll just buy all the 9 sessions up front. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then perinatal nutrition.
Yep.
This one I would probably just have. So like, okay, so like postpartum care, I would just have that as a $9.99 fee. So if they wanted you to just do that postpartum section of everything, you come in for like, or even maybe just like 1,200.
Yeah.
The yoga, if they wanted that one, you could have like a course. Like, see, these are some things like you could just have a comprehensive yoga type of video course of like if you're week 9 of pregnancy and on, and just like each week there's a specific video that they do, right? Like these are things that you can do. And so in that case, I would have that as like a $199, and you don't even have to deliver on that. They're literally just hopping in, they buy a course, and they get access to these videos that they do once, every day.
Would that have to be me doing the video?
No, doesn't have to be. I mean, I would say ideally it's
This
not
is for
just,
virtual though.
Yeah.
We're
So
on
this is
virtual
like
right now. Okay.
Yep. So this is the a la carte services. So it could be virtual or it could be in person.
Gotcha.
Right. And so like yoga, if I'm thinking of like someone just buying yoga services from you, I wouldn't even bother driving to someone's house to do yoga with them for an hour and then driving away. Right. Because that's 3 hours of your time probably.
Yep.
So like that's just not going to be cost effective for everybody. So in that case, I would say having a video series that they can purchase and follow along to throughout their entire pregnancy will probably, and postpartum, will probably be way easier. And then the nice thing is if someone buys your $3K offer, you can just give them access to that and make it part of the inclusion, right? So now it's like, oh, yes, when I come and do the postpartum or do the yoga, or do the visits with you, like, yeah, we'll do 30 minutes of yoga together. But like, you also have access to this that you can do on the days that I'm not here.
Right.
So that being said, like I wouldn't, if you can do videos of you doing it, awesome. If you know someone who can do the videos for you and is okay with you using them, that's also awesome. I think the hesitation there is just pulling like random stuff off of YouTube and then charging someone access to them, right?
Right.
There's just some ethical gray area there where it's like,
Yeah.
you didn't get permission to use that. So I would say, but if you get permission from somebody to use the videos, it doesn't necessarily have to be you, right? And then perinatal nutrition, again, this is something where I'm assuming would probably do something similar to like the lactation support with different like bundles of sessions. Does that sound about accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to perinatal nutrition, what's the specific things that they're hoping to get from that?
Well, there's two avenues. There's like eating healthy throughout your pregnancy, but also like I want to say weight management / losing weight while breastfeeding, like a healthy way to do that.
Okay.
So, there's certain foods you should not have, while you're breastfeeding, like certain supplements you shouldn't have while breastfeeding that could help you lose weight, but you shouldn't, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
things like that, like healthy weight management during and after pregnancy, I guess is kind of what I would say.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. So I think based on all of this stuff, right, I would say if we just did like 3 virtual sessions of 250, I feel like you could probably do a pretty good job of that. Right. Which would be like maybe the first session is really just getting an idea of where they're at, right? All the things that they're struggling with, maybe their family history, getting an idea of like what types of foods they eat, what their typical diet looks like. You do some research on, after you're done with the call with them, do a little bit of research, put together a plan and program for them. The second session, you hop on and then you show them the plan and basically answer all their questions, give it to them. And then you kind of do like one follow-up.
Yeah.
Just to see how it's going, like maybe a month later or something.
Yeah. For instance, I have a whole chart of, if you're craving this is the vitamins and minerals you're missing out on. So here's a healthier option. Like instead of eating 3 boxes of Kraft mac and cheese, do this option instead, so like a healthier, I don't know. Because my stuff is like, I know we're in the Holistic Mamas group together. So I'm like, it's a holistic approach. It's non-toxic. It's, there's certain things I can't advise on, even though it's my own personal opinion.
Yeah.
But, such as cupcakes and whatnot. So like I have to be very careful of like putting my own personal viewpoint into certain things, certain aspects of this business.
Yeah.
But also letting people make their own decisions, but making sure that their decisions are informed. So like, hey, here's what you can expect if you don't want to take my advice. These are the things that are going to go wrong, or these are things,
Yeah. No,
could
that makes
happen.
sense.
So, but so the nutrition part is basically, just, educating on how to stay healthy during pregnancy with, I mean, obviously weight gain is a given, right? I mean, but, is it necessary? Figuring out what your body is craving and why, and how to make healthier choices.
Cool. And then navigating eating with morning sickness and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So my thoughts are like there's a couple ways to do this. One, you can either do the 3 virtual sessions. The other option is doing kind of something similar to the yoga, which is having a course in the community that people can buy for like $250 that has a bunch of these trackers, has your sheets that you have, right? Has all of that stuff plugged in there. And then maybe they can redeem, like maybe one of the pages in there is just like book a call, like a one-on-one call with me, or by purchasing it, they get access to like a weekly group coaching call.
Okay.
Right. Where everybody who's in there gets access to this call and they can hop in and basically help, oh, this week I'm like feeling really sick. I don't know what to eat. You can give them some suggestions, right? Something along those lines.
Yep.
And then that will also help you maximize your time. So instead of having a bunch of one-on-one calls with people, right, you can just have all of them in that group coaching, and you can just answer whatever questions they have. And they just get all the information in the course.
Part of the parenting nutrition,
Mhm.
you know, I can't remember the name for it. What is the condition where like you can't stop throwing up?
Oh, HD.
Hyperemesis? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, hyperemesis
it's
gravid or something?
hyperindium gravid. Yeah, I actually had it with my first.
Gravidum.
Yeah, it was horrible.
So like coaching people through that, or educating through
Mm.
that kind of scenario with the nutrition, like obviously like you can't keep things down, but
Yeah.
what does your body need, vitamins, minerals, nutrition wise, that can be easy still, if you will, things like that. I have too many things.
No, that's okay. Like, and that's where I think having the course, because that's what I was trying to think. I'm like, how can we maximize your time and still provide value to everybody? And that's where I'm wondering if it makes sense to just have a course in there with all of these materials, all these trainings, all these situations, and then having them hop into like getting access to a group coaching call. You know what I mean? Where they get access to that. And then again, the people who are in, the high tickets, so say they buy your big package, they would just get access to this the same way they would just get access to the yoga. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that would be the best. Cool. And then this way you're really only doing like one-on-ones with people who are investing in your high ticket or the lactation support, which is just something that you would have to do one-on-ones to be able to do good with, right? If people are purchasing your postpartum care for $1,200, and then prenatal care, I feel like the prenatal care could include the birth prep and the nesting party.
Yeah.
I almost feel like we don't need all of that to be separate.
Correct.
So yeah, like this, it looks like a lot, but if you really think about it, this is basically 2 courses, one of them having a group coaching type of call situation. There's lactation support, the postpartum care on itself, and then the prenatal care on itself. And then they can buy the full package and just get everything included. So if you really break it down, it's not super like as robust as it feels, right? Cool. So now that we've pretty much built out everything that you're going to be doing with some idea and prices. Oh, and then the prenatal care. So the prenatal care, I was thinking we could do maybe $999. What do you think about that?
How many sessions would that be though?
So that's the 7 sessions, right? Because it's
Oh, okay.
once a month.
Right.
So I also figure like with the once a month, you can also accommodate way more clients than like the postpartum too, because postpartum is more sessions more frequently, right? Whereas the prenatal, it's only once a month. So you could have 1 session a day and have 40 clients, So
Yeah.
okay, cool. So I like that. I think we're onto something here. Okay. I'm sorry?
But what we're working on right here is to be that I should also cross over into my offerings for anyone referred to me by Jessica or Sophia.
Yeah, so all of this would be your offerings referred by anybody,
Okay.
right? So the goal will be, and this is kind of where we talk about the funnel now, which is the goal is you're going to offer some sort of a freebie. That freebie will be inside of the community. So say, for instance, right, we talked about all the stuff that's going to be in your lead gen community. You're going to have nutrition, right, the recipes for and stuff like that. So if people are looking for, these are the types of things you're going to let your referral partners know, which is, do they need help with the planners, birth plans, recipes, like all that stuff? Let's get them into my group. Do they need help with a prenatal yoga routine? You can still have a very basic one. You can have like 5 of them in there, just so there's something for them to do, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe like a couple videos that are like tips and tricks on like how to do this while pregnant, you know? The coffee chats so they can connect with each other, birth education for siblings, right? These are all the different things that we kind of talked about being in this group. Those are all going to be your freebies. So if you're talking to
Okay.
somebody and they're saying, oh, like I'm about to have a child and I'm trying to prepare my 3-year-old for having another kid in the house, you can sit there and say, oh, that's awesome. Like I actually have a whole bunch of free resources for birth education for siblings and for helping children adjust to a new, lifestyle. Would it be helpful if I sent that to you? Like, yeah, sure, it's free, awesome. You send them the link to the free community and say it's in here. They join the free community, which is super low traction, right? And then once they're in, then you can have a conversation with them and you try to upsell, right? So that's where you're going to talk to them and kind of get to know, like, okay, where are you at? What are the biggest struggles you're facing in your pregnancy? And how can I help support them? Ideally, we want to sell as many of these high ticket 5K programs as possible. But you're going to make it depending on what they want, right? Maybe they only need
Right.
some help with, some yoga. Okay, look, I actually have a course for that has all these different materials in there. Go purchase it. Or maybe they just need some help with navigating, eating and stuff like that. Like, okay, I've got this great nutrition program. It has a ton of helpful information in there and group coaching to hop in and get some tailored advice and connect with other moms that are struggling too, right? So you can kind of give then that's when you can really tailor what you want to pitch them on based on what they're struggling with, what their finances look like, all of those different things. And that's essentially the entire system is you get people into your group because of whatever X, Y, and Z thing that they're looking for. It's in your group, you get people in, and then you have conversations and you nurture them and then you sell them into something that's in there. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Cool. So I'm going to tick all of this off because we covered all of this. So when we talk about things that make money, right, the 4 biggest things that help us is money, relationships, beauty, and chronic physical pain, right? This specific thing that we're looking at right now does not necessarily fit into any of these categories specifically. It does help, though, with relationships and with pain, right? So I would think...
And beauty, because I'm helping with the nutrition aspect.
Absolutely. So those are the different angles, right? And each of these angles is going to be dependent on what people are looking for. So you can sit there and say things like, are you trying to have the most radiant pregnancy possible, right? Like join my group because we can help you with that. Are you trying to help build a solid relationship with your 2-year-old while navigating pregnancy again, right? Like that's an angle you can do. Are you trying to become empowered in your pregnancy so that you have a painless childbirth? Although I hate that phrase because that's so misleading.
Well, I think just
like
the back pain and physical body pain, not even the birth part, just like carrying extra weight.
Yeah.
Your whole skeletal system and muscular system as far as like strain and stuff. So
yeah, exactly. So you can absolutely kind of hit on all of those different angles because it's all true,
Oh, okay.
So I was going to say, we only have about 10 minutes left, so I don't want to go on to the whole next section. But next session, what we'll be doing is we're going to basically start building your school community. So be prepared to do the $9 tomorrow. It does give you a 14-day free trial, so you will not have to pay right away. But we'll get you signed up and everything tomorrow for that. And then we'll get started on your school community and starting with all the graphics. Next session will probably be just setting up the back end of it and doing all the graphics to get everything set up. The homework I'm going to give you is to just start assembling all of your resources. So as much as you can, pictures of yourself that we can use in the graphics, and just as many of these resources that we talked about. I'm also going to give you editor access to this document. I'll actually do that after because I don't want your email showing up in the
that's fine.
in the video, but I'll do that after. And then that way you have access to this and you can kind of see all the stuff that we talked about and everything that we worked on. So it'll help you kind of like know exactly what types of resources to gather, but just kind of start pulling all those together, maybe make a file on your computer, add them all in there so it's super easy to get to. And then tomorrow we will build out your school community and start to kind of plug away, putting everything in there. I know, super exciting. So awesome. Do you have any questions?
I'm going to send you a copy of my trifold flyer and my business card. You can just see what it looks like. I just printed out 100 pamphlets, so like I don't plan on changing my business name or anything on it at the moment. But just so you can see, and then in the meantime, I will.
What was it again? It was Agape. What's the name of your business?
Agape Holistic Doula Services. Just an H.
I love it. Cool.
Holistic with just an H.
Oh, gotcha.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
So then when I do a school community, would I do that name? Because like no one's going to know the name. It would just
we'll do it. Yeah. I mean, so first of all, too, like the name of a business doesn't necessarily have to be the name that's out there, right? Because there's different brands within a business. So you'll have your actual business and then you'll have the brand of the community. So we'll mess around with that a little bit tomorrow when we're actually creating everything, is we'll come up with like a good name for it. I love the whole idea of the agape. Like obviously I'm Christian as well. So like I love the whole agape love, right? But we can like mess around and kind of figure out like what's something that's unique to you, but also is easy for people to see and understand exactly what it is, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what we want. So we'll kind of come up with a good name tomorrow when we do it. But yeah, I mean, this looks good. Like you don't have to change your name or anything like that. And when you're doing business cards and pamphlets, it should ideally be that, right? Because the community is your freebie. The branding of your website, or anything else that you're going to be doing with your business, that's going to be your business. So, I wouldn't worry too much about that. The only thing is you might have to update like the pamphlets in terms of like the new pricing, all these different things we just set up, right? Because this is essentially what you're going to be offering. So I'm sure this is different than what you had put on there.
But you didn't put any pricing.
So I don't know if you put any prices. Okay.
No,
good.
I just said, contact me for pricing, bundles available.
Gotcha. Okay. So perfect. Then you don't even have to change anything. So that should be good. Yes. Yeah, no, so everything here looks good. So we'll definitely, tomorrow we will set up your school community. We will come up with the names for all of these things, and then we'll do all of the graphics. And that'll give you like a couple days to really get all of your stuff together, and then we'll upload everything so that it's all good to go. And part of it too, like, I understand maybe the yoga one you won't be able to launch by Friday, right? Because you just need to get the videos or you need to record them or whatever. That's fine. But if we have everything else and we have a yoga one set up for you, it's just in a draft so you can publish it when you get those videos, then that's fine too, right? So we'll do our best with just setting it up with everything that you have currently, so you've got some sort of a model that people can work off of. And then from there, we'll be able to launch you. And that's the goal, is that by the end of this week, you'll be launched with your business. You'll know exactly what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how to do it. So. Awesome. I am super psyched.
All right. I'll let you go now. Yeah. Oh, this is the same call for the coffee chat, right?
For the coffee chat. Yeah. You're welcome to hang out in here if you'd like to. I'm going to stop the recording now.
I will. I just
stop recording.